You know, right? People try to censor you. People want to pull your tongue out and clip the top. Well, what I've got to say to that is censorship is how we keep order. When you've got a universe to run, see, the people at the bottom of the ladder don't understand. They're not running the show. How do they know? See, the people at the bottom don't see what the people at the top see. They have the luxury of ignorance. If they knew what we knew, then they'd shut up other people too. Oh, freedom of expression, free speech, First Amendment. Come on, people. Do you have any idea what's out there? You need to be rank and file. You need to do what we tell you to do. Because the truth of the matter is that if you understand what we understand, you'd make the same decision. I guarantee it. Now, we do listen. We listen. We just know that you don't know. You file your complaints. We read about them. We watch them. We know. What would you say if I told you, as a response to all of these complaints, that even though your life is paltry in comparison to what you deserve, you can't have what you deserve? See, you deserve to live like us, like kings. But you don't. You don't live like kings. And the truth of the matter is you don't actually deserve it. I'm just being theoretical. We have bloodlines going back thousands of years. Royal bloodlines, a lineage. You don't. Well, you kind of do, but it's just a smorgasbord. Nothing special. Nothing special about slave or peasant pedigree. We're the proverbial blue bloods, although it's actually a little different than that, but blue bloods. So when we talk, it's actually special, it's actually meaningful. When you talk, you're just griping. You're complaining. You don't say anything of substance. Because you don't have the perspective that we have. If you had the perspective that we had, then maybe you would speak of important, significant things, but you don't. So we've given you freedom. But not the freedom that we have. You can watch what you like on TV. You can choose from your social media platforms. You can buy what you like at the grocery store. You can select one car over another car, one color of car over another color of car. You can choose your bank. None of these freedoms matter. That's why you have them. The real freedom that you don't have, that you can't handle, is the freedom to know the truth. You think you want it. But a planet full of human beings who all know the truth is not a planet that can be governed. It would be chaos. So you do have to trust us. Excuse me. I appreciate you trying to educate everybody here. I just wanted to raise my hand and just ask a question, if that's okay. We'll see if it's okay. Okay. Well, thank you for coming. I don't know if I can speak for everybody, but I am grateful that at least there's some kind of ambassador from the elite coming to answer our questions. I don't know how far up you are and what you know. That's a fair statement. Continue. I think I knew for myself and for my friends and maybe for most of the people here. How do you determine what we can and cannot handle? How's that determined? I ask that respectfully, even though I don't respect this institution at all. I don't know who you are and why you are deemed so important, except that you're a mouthpiece for invisible powers that run the show from behind the scenes. Yes. I understand your concern. You have to have a certain capacity for evil, for understanding it, for performing it. And that's what separates the elite from the commoners, such as yourselves. And you may think that we are horrible. You don't know what we know. You don't know what's out there. And maybe we seem horrible to you. Yeah, you do. That's the truth. You do. I understand. But you don't know. None of you know that in this galaxy there's evil you cannot fathom. And that evil would as soon as snatch you up and devour you without a second thought. So we are the middlemen. We are the priests. We conduct the rituals and even the sacrifices as intermediaries between that unfathomable evil and you. You live a life of pleasure, of ignorance, of servitude. We don't hide that from you anymore. You are our servants. That's the best arrangement for you. And it gives us certain privileges with respect to that unfathomable evil, which to you would simply be monstrous. They are monsters. Again, they do not care about you. They've been here and about for a long time. I've heard that. And if you don't mind, I'd like to just continue to speak with you here because I have been selected by many of these people just simply to represent them. How many years are we talking about? Well, it goes back as far as recorded history. Thousands of years. These monsters have been around for millions of years. Do you understand? You don't get a free lunch on this planet. You are under the mistaken assumption that this planet is yours. This planet is not yours. Most of you, people, aren't even indigenous to this planet, or your ancestors weren't. So I know that you want your rights, free expression, free assembly, the right to bear arms. Those monsters don't care about that. Those are concessions that we offer you to make you happy with your estate. The truth of the matter is, who are we to give you rights and take away rights? Have you thought about it? Of course we've thought about that. We don't know why you have power. Well, I'm telling you why we have power. We are intermediaries. If we didn't exist, you would just be devoured. Well, excuse me, sir, but that does not make much sense to us. Why would they create us if we're just going to be devoured? I didn't say that they created you, but they did bring you here. Every system, every star system, has planets that are farmed. And there is a priestly class known as the elite, the technocrats, the politicians, the billionaires. These are the ones that manage the farm and make sure that there is a hefty yield. Because these monsters are rapacious, they would simply come and gobble all of you up. In order to keep them satisfied, we have to perform rituals, sacrifices, to let them know that we are obedient to them so that you are obedient to us. Yeah, that pretty much checks out. But that we can't figure that out for sure, we just kind of know that. We kind of figured it out. It's not like there's information around here telling us, except for you. And of course we think to ourselves, well, how can we even trust him if he's telling us that he's a liar, that he's evil? But essentially, even if you're lying, you're still the one in control, telling us lies, keeping us in our place. We are hungry, you know that, right? We're not just hungry for food, thirsty for water. We're hungry for freedom. We're hungry for truth. And what I don't think the elite priestly class understands is that they're hungry for freedom too. They're hungry for truth. I know you don't like what you're doing. You have to be perverted. You have to be abused. You have to be blackmailed, bribed, extorted, controlled to occupy that middle ground between the monsters and us. And then we are the only bastion of purity, the slave class. We actually know what's right and what's wrong. And for all your power, you have no sense of what's right and wrong, so you're not free. I could see why they selected you. Nice. These arbitrary distinctions of right and wrong, and freedom, tyranny, these are just programs that we've inserted into your mind to keep you occupied on the plantation. There is no such thing as freedom in this galaxy. That doesn't exist except as a dream of slaves. There is power, there is control, and there is a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy even within the monsters. There's even a hierarchy among your slaves. Yes, there is a hierarchy. They selected me, but I have all of their best interests in mind. They know that when they pick me to represent them, that I'm going to speak on their behalf for freedom and for truth, and that I'm here to emancipate them from their slavery. That's the hierarchy. So your hierarchy is nothing but domination and power and deception, control, subjugation, sacrifice, pillage, rape, murder. Do you know why that those are effective? Of course we know why they're effective. They're effective because they're wrong. They don't care about wrong. They just care about feeding. I think they feed on more than just bodies, don't they? That is correct. They feed on our energy, don't they? Yes, they do. It's called louche. You don't understand the monsters. Some are corporeal, and some are not. They always need to feed. And if you just understood that you are the same way, all the animals that you keep in your farms, locked up in pens, you control all of them. All of them are going to be brought to the slaughter. Yeah, I've thought about that. But that's not evil. Not the kind of evil of your overlords and yours. Yeah, we're working on that, because at some point you have to take a stand against all of this. Yes. Yes. Of course you would say that. You all believe, all of you, this dream, this hope called freedom. It doesn't exist. It doesn't. I do understand why you have to convince us that. You have to convince us that freedom doesn't exist so we don't revolt. But what I'm saying is that you can join us. We will forgive you. We'll forgive you for lording over us, and we'll forgive you your sins. As we know how much you are suffering from being these middlemen and intermediaries of the sick evil of this galaxy. You'll convert me, the ambassador. I'll join your ranks. Another ambassador comes tomorrow, and I'm abducted in the middle of the night and sacrificed. Don't think you have much to offer me. But you know. You know. The war is inside you and between you and them and you and us. You can't have allegiance to them, and you can't have allegiance to us, and you can't have allegiance with each other, because you don't trust each other. If you're constantly afraid, you don't even trust your fellow priests. This is called a psyop, and you're very good. So good that I think you belong with us. No. Yes, I think you do. Here you are trying to suborn my intellect, pull me in, make me join forces with you. You don't understand the evil of even the priestly class. Do you understand that right now I could have you struck down where you stand? Right now. I'm sure you could. With all your technology. I can just see the lasers up there in the sky pinpointing me with a red dot on my forehead. Do it. Do it. Do you understand that when you were a slave, Mr. Priest, that you had to come to terms with your death every day just to feel alive? Just to have a feeling of freedom, that feeling of truth? Because we don't have your information. We don't have your facts. We don't know what you know. We just know that we know that truth. And we know that truth is horrid. Born, living, dying in a cage. Because of some priests. Because of some monsters. Tell me, priest. Who's the monsters to those monsters? Is it just monsters all the way up? No, it's not monsters all the way up. There's a king. He rules this galaxy. So tell me more. Are there any good guys? This is just evil monsters all throughout the galaxy. What good would it be for you to know that? Oh, well, I think it would be a lot for me to know that. Absolutely, don't you think, guys? Mr. Priest, we don't know much here at the bottom of the pyramid, but here's what we do know. And the monsters are terrified. That's why they do what they do. They're terrified of each other, and they're terrified of you. And they're terrified of us. But not because this is some closed system where there's only monsters everywhere. We happen to know that this galaxy is full of good guys who want to see your dominator hierarchy collapse. We want to see this pyramid crumble. We actually know that. How do you know that? Well, that's why all this has to be so tight. You know, it's pretty easy to see that if it were all so perfectly orchestrated, of free will, then it wouldn't be so evil, would it? People would just be happy and complying and coordinating with one another. It would be a gorgeous sound in the universe, a symphony of joy. We'd all show up with free will. We know when we go to work or spend time with our family that it's all just gonna be okay. Because everything is on the up and up and clear, truthful, transparent, and we all work as a team. But that's not the way it is. It's the way it could be. Instead, all this order that I'm mentioning is glued together by evil. Why? Why? Because that evil is under threat. Yeah, right. Very bright, very precocious. How do you know that this just isn't an evil galaxy? That's just the way it is here. Why does there have to be any good in this galaxy? The good guys. Why can't it just be evil? Why not? It can't be evil, only because we exist. How are you proof? How is a ragtag group and tribe of ragamuffins proof of anything other than a servant class here to do our bidding? How are you proof of anything? We don't accept evil. You don't accept evil. Your monsters don't even accept evil. That's a good one. You have never seen evil like these beings. I'm sure they're pretty evil, but they don't accept it. There's only one being that accepts evil. Satan. Yes. That's right. You named him. Yes. We know enough to know that he's the one at the top. But he doesn't even accept evil. Not really. He thinks that he has to be evil in order to control the people under him. And the people under him need to be evil to control the people under them. And when I say people, I mean monsters, whatever they are, who knows. And it keeps going down and down and down like that. Each level is evil to the level below it, to the level below that, to the level below that. Until you get to the bottom of the pyramid. And the slaves aren't evil, because there's nobody below them. They don't need to be evil. The slaves at the bottom, us, We know that evil is artificial, and the amount of energy required to keep evil in existence is you could power an entire universe. Why is Satan so afraid that he's got to conduct evil upon those below him, and those have to conduct evil on those below them? Why is he so afraid? He's condemned to create evil because he's terrified of his own non-existence. Tell me I'm wrong. I will tell you that I'm intrigued by what you're saying here. That you have an unusual mind for a slave. Oh, thank you. That's a compliment coming from a high priest of evil. Thank you. What happens is that Satan would rather just exist and be evil rather than dissolve his separate self in God. He's terrified of joining God and having the struggle dissolve, what we call ego death. He's terrified of his own liberation. He's terrified of his own freedom, because with that freedom comes a responsibility, and he would rather use his power to keep his ego alive instead of dissolving his ego and using his power responsibly for everyone in this galaxy. And of course, you don't even have to humor me. I know that there are whole legions and galaxies of good beings who are just as powerful as Satan. But they're good. I can feel them. They're with me now. They're powering my words. So, you may want to think about whose side you're on. Years ago, there weren't any ambassadors showing up and humorously indulging our questions and satisfying our ignorance with tidbits of misinformation. We didn't have that luxury, did we? But look at you now. High priest, caught in between slaves who are awakening and monsters who are terrified of the monsters under their bed. Those monsters, they're constantly afraid. So they put so much pressure on the priests, don't they? You're sweating, aren't you? You tremble as I get closer and closer and closer and closer to the truth. You tremble. You're shaking. You're sweating. You can't fathom where I get my information, just like I can't fathom how evil the monsters are. But when the slaves awaken to their freedom by realizing the source, the information just enters them from everywhere. And you, High Priest, for all your sacrifices and your rituals, are not awake to this ocean of information that's flooding my soul. And so it's clear to me, to everyone here, that you are the slaves.